Okay guys, really big news if you are a Game of Thrones fan. This news dropped around last night and I was not expecting this at all, but one of the 7 Game of Thrones shows that they currently have in pre-production right now happens to be a Jon Snow sequel show. This is going to cover what happens to Jon Snow after the abysmal season 8 of Game of Thrones when he is banished beyond the wall. Now, one of the biggest things that needs to be said about this show is the pure surprise that they are going to make a Jon Snow show. And the reason for that is because Game of Thrones didn't end in the best ways possible. Not only did the show not end good, but most importantly, it left 90%, if not more, fans pissed off. Moving forward in the Game of Thrones world, creating stories with pre-existing characters and maybe even newer characters after the events of Game of Thrones is pretty tricky. And I don't assume something like that is easy because you now have to keep in mind that what happened in season 8 happened. There's no taking it back. So where do you move from here? I have an article from Hollywood Reporter open here that's detailing some of the information we have on the Jon Snow show, and then after, I'll give my thoughts on it. Game of Thrones Jon Snow sequel series in development at HBO. You know nothing about HBO's post-Game of Thrones plans. The network has entered into early development on its first sequel to its blockbuster fantasy drama, a live-action spin-off series centered on the fan-favorite character Jon Snow. Kit Harrington is attached to reprise the role should a series move forward. The actor was twice nominated for an Emmy for his portrayal of the action hero who struggles to uphold his family's noble values in a brutal world. And that's to be expected. There's no way you could even potentially move forward with another Jon Snow story if Kit Harrington was not willing to return to the character. You can't just recast him unless you did something where he is a lot older and he looks completely different, which I mean, if we're going to see a Jon Snow show, I just want to see what happens after Game of Thrones. Kit Harrington is a must, 110%. In Game of Thrones' 8th and final season, Jon Snow discovered his true name was Aegon Targaryen, a potential heir to the Iron Throne. In the series finale, he was exiled from Westeros and journeyed north of the Wall with the wildlings to leave his old life behind. And I don't want to get into it, but I'm gonna just say it a little bit here. He wasn't a potential heir to the Iron Throne, he was literally the heir to the Iron Throne. I'm not saying Jon Snow needed to be king at the end of the Game of Thrones run. You could already tell that he did not want to lead. He did not want to be ruler, and that's fine. But what the show failed is they failed to acknowledge the fact that he literally was the true heir. And they didn't even bother to discuss the option of, hey, maybe we should ask him to be king and then see what he feels about it. Moving a little forward into the article, perhaps most boldly from a creative standpoint, the project would upend Thrones' final season as the last word on the fates of the surviving characters in HBO's most popular and Emmy-winning series of all time. In theory, the project could open the door for other surviving characters from the Thrones universe to reappear, such as Arya Stark, Sansa Stark, and Brienne of Tarth. This development news means there are now 7 Game of Thrones projects in the works, in addition to the upcoming House of the Dragon prequel, which debuts August 21st. Okay, so how do I feel about this news? What do I think about the sequelization of a pre-existing character in Jon Snow moving forward after the events of Game of Thrones? Quick answer, yes, I'm in. I'm down, 100%. For the long answer, which is what I'm going to give you right now, and basically it's the reason of why I'm into it and why I like this, Jon Snow is my favorite character in Game of Thrones. I've liked Jon Snow from the very first episode I ever saw him, and you guys got to keep in mind, I did not read the books when I started watching the show. I've only dabbled in the books after I started watching the show. So I had no idea what was in store for Jon Snow, but I immediately attached to him the moment I saw him. Guys, I like Jon Snow so much, that's who I went as for Halloween this past year. Just take a really good look at that and bask in how awesome I look. Jon Snow is a fan favorite amongst a lot of Game of Thrones fans, and I'm not saying Jon Snow is everybody's favorite character. I'm sure there are other characters out there that are more compelling than him. Maybe more people liked Jaime Lannister or Arya Stark or whoever else, Tyrion Lannister. Jon, though, being the hero of the Game of Thrones story, I think deserves to continue that story. Now, what type of threat is Jon going to be facing up against in the future? What type of story lies ahead if the studio firmly believes that a Jon Snow story needs to continue and needs to open up new doors? We of course know that his series would open up the door for, like the article said, other older characters to return, and it would open the door to branch off into brand new characters, a couple of new wildling characters, maybe some Thens, and who knows, maybe other groups they introduce in the TV show. I'm paraphrasing here, but there actually is a line in the final episode of Game of Thrones when Jon and Tyrion are talking to one another, and Jon says something to Tyrion about how I will probably never see you again, or this is the last time we will see each other again. And then Tyrion says something like, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Once again, I'm paraphrasing there. I can't really remember the exact words they used, but I know that is essentially what was being said between friends. I always thought in the moment of that episode, this is not the end. We will one day get a season 9 of Game of Thrones. We will one day get a story that opens up for the future of season 8. And I guess we might be getting that a little sooner rather than later with Kit Harrington coming back to play Jon Snow. And I like the potential that this story holds because there are so many secrets about Game of Thrones that they could be diving into so many different avenues. I mean, in all honesty, guys, Game of Thrones season 8 ended so poorly that Jon Snow's show could literally deal with the remnants of a Night Walker attack. Maybe a more proper event of how the Night King should have been handled and how a final war should have affected the world around them. You could even dabble into territory where Jon Snow discovers information about the first White Walker War. Maybe some of the Westeros and long thousands of years of history can be discovered in this show, especially since I'm assuming most of this show is going to deal beyond the wall and a lot of secrets are hidden beyond the wall. And I know for a lot of people, the ending has soiled the potential of any future sequelized installments for Game of Thrones. I did feel like that for a time being, but the Jon Snow show has the opportunity to do two things. It can either move on from Game of Thrones, maybe reference things here and there, nothing too big, nothing utterly important, and just move on in a new direction and create a new story. Or what they could do is they could find a way to change specific things about season 8 to make us feel a little bit better about the future of the wider Westeros world. Game of Thrones is filled with magic. Once again, I'm gonna say it, it's filled with a ton of mysteries that we still yet do not know. There's still a lot of things that they could do to change the Game of Thrones history and to make it better to everybody's liking. And I think the final thing I want to say about the show is who could potentially show up in the future. The article made mention of characters that are close to Jon who are still alive, and they could pop up from time to time. And then what I'm thinking could possibly happen is if Jon's show is successful enough, we could see the possibility of other pre-existing characters getting their own show. Maybe we could get an Arya Stark show where she goes west of Westeros and the lands she finds over there. But regardless, I think Jon Snow might be the stepping stone. You see how this one does, and maybe you now have the potential to do that with other characters. But overall, that's about it for this news. Nothing else is confirmed. We don't really have anything more to go on. I'm sure we'll hear more in the next couple of months, especially when House of the Dragon drops. We might hear more news about production on future installments, like Jon Snow. That's probably one they will want to get off the ground right away, as soon as possible. Now it is your turn to let me know in the comments below what you think of a Jon Snow sequel. If you like it, if you think it's a smart move, if you're looking forward to it, if there's someone else you'd want to see them do a sequel on if the Jon Snow sequel ends up working, and whatever else you might have for your thoughts. But that is it for this video, everyone, and until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.